On tonight's program, ladies and gentlemen, we have something that's going to make you sick.
My beautiful aliens, hello, and welcome back to the Authentically Blue podcast. It is currently Friday the 6th of June, 3:50 p.m. and it's Eid. I'm coming to you live from Kenya. I'm currently in my brother's room, which has been my room for the past few months and will not be in the next month. Why am I always saying goodbye when I'm doing the podcast episode? This is crazy. A friend of mine jokes and says I live outside a suitcase, and honestly, I'm always on the run. I'm even planning on traveling in the next few days for a staycation, which is fun. But enough about that, guys. I am alone in the house. I took a quick nap when we came back from the mosque today because my parents didn't have any concrete plans for me and the broskies. So we went out for a family. My dad's mom invited us over for lunch, and I fell asleep. Me and my dad fell asleep. I think we were just in a zone where we needed a nap, and then I woke up and nobody's in the house. But I didn't even wake up to that. I woke up to my brother calling me, and he was like, "Girlie, where's mom?" I'm like, "I don't know." So I called her, and I saw her missed call, and she was like, "Are you okay? Sorry we left you in the house." And everyone was laughing in the car. I was like, "Why are you guys laughing at me?" And she's like, "I've saved you as dearest daughter," with so many like emojis, like with a mic and love hearts and queen face. And I was like, "You're so sweet." And my dad was like, "Whoa, I just have her saved as Ashu, which is a nickname." Guys, why am I in an exciting rambly zone? In today's episode, this is going to be a very unfiltered episode. I'm not going to edit. I'll just remove any loud sounds. I just did one, but you will notice it because it's going to be gone by the time I'm editing. We are back. This is going out to the Patreon beautiful aliens and to the public beautiful aliens. I love you all regardless. And we have a new segment for the podcast, and I'm labeling it Truth in Two, which implies the two sides of a story, the public show versus the private thoughts we usually tend to have. And in today's episode, I still have not decided what I'm going to label it. I think I'll figure it out by the end. But I'm going with toxic till the end, or you should have said no. I'm leaning more towards you should have said no. But I feel like I'm leaning towards labeling it you should have said no, but I really wish it was toxic till the end. And I'll explain more in the end or the closing remarks. Welcome to the Authentically Blue podcast, a space for stories we carry in our bones, the truths we whisper to ourselves, and the freedom we're still learning to claim. If you've ever felt too much, not enough, or caught between worlds, this is your home. Some days we'll cry, some days we'll laugh, and other days we'll just sit in the blue of it all, with honesty, tenderness, and truth. That is what I want the Truth in Two segments to feel like, and I'm excited for the next few days until my birthday, not weeks, because that's what we're doing. If you listen to the update episode, taking it way back to how I used to do episodes, I'm going to be doing a segment portion, which is topic of the week. As I said, it is, did I even say what the topic is, or I didn't? This week, or today, I'm used to doing weekly episodes. Today, I want to talk all about regret we have in friendships and relationships, and the mixture of blaming ourselves or being coerced into situations, and how to navigate and deal with that. And then an interesting thing that happened this week. I think the road drivers agree with what I'm saying. Sorry guys, I'm next to a highway. I hope you don't mind. An interesting thing that happened today is, should I say this week? Today did something interesting happen? Not really. Well, it was Eid and we had fun. But an interesting thing that happened this week is the fact that I got a phone call from a friend. I'm trying to keep it vague because I know many people listen to the podcast. I got a phone call from a friend, and I was informed that somebody who I was speaking to is kind of a pedophile, and it made me feel very yucky and disgusted, and that thing messed me up for a few days, I won't lie. And I've navigated a bunch of emotions, which is what led me to this episode. What am I grateful for this week? That was really heavy, I apologize. But what am I grateful for this week? I think I'm grateful for my mind and how life really does end up being. Because like when I received that news this week, it messed me up and I sat with my thoughts. One thing I've really learned to do this year, which I used to do on and off, is sitting with emotions, especially the yucky, disgusting emotions. I sat with my thoughts, navigated the shame. That is a plane, I can't even do anything. Navigated the shame, the guilt, the anger, the frustration, the feelings I had towards this. I really felt like reaching out and killing this person, not literally, just figuratively, and giving them a piece of my mind and really, handing it over to them. But I just, I don't want to give them the satisfaction of reaching out. So more on that in a minute. To open the podcast episode, before I dive into the personal story, I have let people into my life who did not deserve the seat that they were given. Some people stayed too long, some people drained me, and others betrayed me. And still, I don't blame myself, because I showed up in that moment with love and softness and honesty, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. I've always told friends, I think one specific friend I can think of, since we've been friends since 2013, I always tell her, never regret anything that made you smile. Be it a friendship, a relationship. I think we experience moments and situations in life to give us joy and happiness. And wait, sorry, I kind of got distracted for a second. We experience different things in moments, yes, to give us joy and happiness and love, but to teach us and help us grow and explore things, which is exciting. I really zoned out right there, and I'm not editing this. I'm gonna come back because I want to leave the house before my family comes back. I feel like it's really loud. Okay, there we go. I also tell my brother the same thing. Never regret anything that made you smile. It's okay to feel shitty and pissy about experiences, but at the same time, it's like, whatever, it happened. You're fine without them, and you are gonna be fine after them. So that's what happens. The personal story I experienced is, how do I say? Basically, at the beginning of this year, I had the people in my life, not one person, a bunch of people of different ages. The friends of the people who I tap into and like check in with in my life were motivating me to date more people. As somebody who doesn't date often, I tend to be very skeptical of men, and I am very skeptical of men. I don't even know how else to say it to you. Like, it's just not for me. I am that one friend, that one friend or that person on the internet who really doesn't like men. That is me. I never seek love or validation or stuff like that, and I think I always just tend to see the negativity of the dating sites. Either I see through people's bullshit, basically, and whenever I do see that, I can see if we're compatible, if I think I'm gonna vibe with you. I always have to have a level basis of knowing who you are, and I do that through friendship first. I'm not the type of person who does casual. I'm not the type of person who, like, I wouldn't just fall in love with you. It's just not gonna happen. That's not how I'm wired. Like, attracted to, maybe, and that is something in my... Sorry guys, I got interrupted with a very loud noise and I had to stop. I think, okay, what was I saying? Being attracted to somebody. I think in my late 20s, and I have I basically found myself being attracted to people, but I think before I didn't. I even thought I was asexual at some point. That is just context. So I met somebody a year or so prior. We talk on and off, but they wanted to be in a relationship. I didn't, because I just wasn't in the right headspace and did not know this person. I was like, I need to suss you out and figure you out before I see if I want to. And from the very beginning, I'll tell you guys, I had yucky vibes. I remember the person made an offhanded comment about my course being too girly or something of the sort. And when we met, actually, this person was with somebody who's younger than us by, the person was 24 and this other person around was 17. And then later when I found out that they were dating, the younger person was, I think, 13 or 14, And that was just so yucky to me, disgusting that a 20-year-old would go for someone that young, especially with my experience with this person being very manipulative, gaslighty, and just disgusting. I'll give you guys an example where when we were talking, like nothing even happened, or like there was no romantic, like they were just vibing and trying to see what's going on, and this person went and told his friends that I gave him blue balls. I can't even say with a straight face. I'm like, I'm thinking of the people who listen to the podcast right now, but you know what, fuck it. First of all, we've never kissed, and why would you go and share that with some? I didn't even know what the term meant, honestly, and I had to Google it, and I was like, you're disgusting and yucky, and you know what, right now you kind of deserve it. And I don't know. So for me, with this encounter, to kind of summarize, from the initial meeting of this person and feeling very yucky and disgusted by them, it felt like, I described it to my cousin. I was like, it's like when you meet someone young, when two kindergarten kids on the playground and the guy likes a boy, likes a girl, and then they start bullying them. Like, that's the kind of vibe it felt like. And I'm like, you're a grown-ass human being. Use emotions. We're not kids. And then so there's that element of me feeling yucky from the beginning. And I expressed this to my friend who knew us both. I expressed this to the person who knew us both, and this person was like, what did they say? They were basically like, that's just their personality and it's not that deep, like you're reading too much into this. And I was like, you know what, everyone around me always says you read, like, whenever I don't give people or guys or partners chances, because I tend to see the negativity first. I see through the bullshit. And I was like, maybe this is just me over noticing, and people are different, and there's no perfect human being, and so I kind of dumbed it down. And boy, oh boy, I entertained this person for a few weeks, no more than a month, I would say, until I met someone more amazing. I feel like, and then the person who ghosted me, basically. And I feel like it's interesting because the more I reflect on the situation and the more time unfolds, I'm like, it's almost like that person who rejected me was brought into life to prevent a lot of harm and give me so much joy for a short amount of time, which is crazy. So then, moving back to the story, when I found out this week, that the person was dating someone way younger than us, and this was like, and bear in mind, sorry guys, that was loud. Bear in mind, this person I was speaking to is very emotionally intelligent and very childish at the same time, but it doesn't justify your actions. You're dating a kid. Also, why would you go for me and my younger cousin? Anyway, I think that I'm just gonna leave it there. A friend of mine was like, don't talk about this on the podcast, and I was like, I kind of want to, because it's yucky and disgusting, and as you can see, I haven't even like verbalized thoughts. And the thing that pissed me off even more is the fact that the other person who was sharing this information with me, who's a cousin, who knew us both, that's the person I was trying not to mention, but hey ho, they were like, it's not that deep. I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am, because your emotional, it just feels like your emotional compass is wrong. And later onwards, I was just really disgusted. I even burnt my bloody mushroom burgers I was making for my uncle. And when I was speaking to her on the way there, I was just telling her, like, I'm very disgusted that I let this person have my energy. Not even like, just have access to me, my time, my energy, my like compliments. Like, this person was insecure at one point, and I complimented them and motivated them and bigged them up, and I regret all of that. And I hate the fact that they can say that they were getting to know me. And my cousin was like, don't regret what made you smile, or like the fun moments and experiences you had with that person. I was like, I didn't though. And I feel like I was trying to keep it moving because of that cousin's encouragement, and partly because I'm like, maybe I don't know the dating scene and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just yucky. And my cousin was like, be disgusted by their actions because you did not know that this person was a pedophile and was just a disgusting human being in general. And be disgusted by their actions, but don't like shame yourself for it. So that is what inspired this week's episode. I feel like it's very interesting to know you're not to blame. Whether in your situation you were raised to, you did not notice either the manipulation or the gaslighting, because people who are very emotionally intelligent really have a way with words and things and turning things on you. So if you're not knowledgeable or keen on the manipulation or are enduring it, or maybe you were led with hope and you didn't want to feel abandoned, because everybody in this world has their own triggers and has things that traumatize them from they were kids and different experiences. So maybe you're just being forgiving because that is your nature and how you were raised. I think it's very important to not blame yourself. The problem wasn't that you love this person too much, be it a friendship, a relationship, or a situationship, or even a family dynamic or co-working, whatever the relationship is. The problem is that they didn't know what to do with the love that you were giving them, or they were not in the right headspace to receive it, or they have their own personal traumas and experiences. And I think to touch on that point, I have had this conversation with my mom recently because I almost got into a friendship breakup with a friend, and I told her there's certain things in life that I'm not willing to tolerate. Just because I give off therapist vibes, or I give off understanding, and I'm constantly the person who people can turn to for like consoling them or understanding and whatever, that does not give you justification to disrespect me. That is the one thing I'm not going to tolerate. I hate being disrespected. I hate when people think, oh, you can walk all over me just because of this, and you think, oh, she's too good to not leave. And I think when you stand up to people and tell them like, hey, that was disrespectful, I don't tolerate that behavior, and just tell them you need space if you can't figure it out in the moment, which is what I tend to do because I don't like getting into arguments with people, especially when it's not going anywhere. Like, think of it. I feel like I'm ranting, but it's appropriate with the topic. I think of the future, and if you want to have a continuous friendship or relationship, whatever aspect it is, with this person, think of what are you getting from this? What are they getting from this? Are you both feeling comfortable, safe, and is something you can pursue, or is it draining you and is it too much for you? And if you feel like it's more of the draining, back off, babe. Like, and there's no shame or guilt in that. I will just say that. But at the same time, I think mental health is a really huge thing. Like, when I was speaking to my mom yesterday, I was telling her there's 3 people in my life and 3 habits I will not tolerate, because I've been dealing with this vicious cycle from them for a very long time. And when I mentioned all 3 people, my mom was like, I think they have mental health issues. And I was like, even if they do, Ma, it doesn't justify their actions. It doesn't make it right for somebody to disrespect me and yell at me and gaslight me and belittle me and be condescending and lash out. I'm talking about all 3 people and kind of woven it in. And they don't do these things in extremes. But still, when I'm conversing with them, I feel unsafe and I feel different emotions. And I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with that. And I don't have to. Because there was a moment in time in my life for years where I did not know you and I did not have any of these issues. I'm thinking of a time like when I was younger in Kericho, and I did not know any of these people, and I was fine and safe and excited, and life will move on before you and after you. Guys, I feel like I'm really angry right now, but I think somebody somewhere out there might find this episode beneficial or relate or share this with someone who's experiencing this. And I want this episode to be I want this podcast to be one where people feel safe and heard and talk about the yucky feelings like this one, because these are blue feelings that people do really think and feel. Next, moving swiftly on, I think there's an interesting difference between regret and shame. And people tend to confuse the two. I mean, I did this week, especially when I was thinking like, why the fuck did I give this person my time and space and energy and all the love I have? No, not that I gave them all the love, but like the love in me, and vibing with them and bigging them up. So I think there's a difference between regret, which is, for instance, the situation or that person wasn't good for me, versus shame. I am the problem for letting it happen. And when I heard this, I initially went to shame. And my cousin was like, do not do that. We never shame ourselves. Obviously, unless you did something wrong. Like if I was the one who was being bitchy or approaching... It's even weird to think of me approaching a younger person. Like that's just disgusting to me. But doing the actions that this guy did. And it's very like, what is wrong with you? So I think you're allowed to regret the door you opened without calling yourself a fool. You were trusting and open-hearted. You are very open-hearted and you are brave for allowing yourself to experience things, because growth happens outside our comfort zone. And that gave me like shivers down my back, because it is really true. And sometimes you just have to experience things and be brave and be bold, because a life motto we have on the podcast is do it for the plot. Live life for the plot. When you're watching movies and the main character is experiencing negative things and positive things, they're living. That is being a main character. With the shame, embarrassment, and growth element of it, I think talking about the shame spiral. Why did I let them treat me like that? Why did I give them the time of day? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? It reminds me of a very amazing advice I was given not that long ago, actually, and I think I shared it on the podcast when I was going through another version of heartbreak. And my aunt and cousin was like, why would you, when you're bitten by a snake, you don't ask, why did the snake bite me? You will never figure that out. The snake could have bitten anybody. It could go for anybody at anywhere at any time. I feel like the more I'm recording this, the more my brain is like shutting down. I'm getting way more comfortable and my thoughts are like mixing up. But yeah, you don't ask why a snake bit you. You deal with the poison. So I think that's very important. Turn that regret that you're feeling into wisdom, not bitterness. Bitterness makes our hearts heavy and dark, and it makes you like move with hatred. And I think there's moments like I have had moments where I experience bitterness, and I don't like that version of me. And even interaction with people, like this morning, a funny thing happened where the neighbor came, my brother's friend, and my brother's not even around. And he came, he sat where I was supposed to be sitting and ate food. And the food ended. And I was telling my mom, like, oh yeah, why couldn't he go to his house? I didn't even have space to eat, and one of my favorite uncles was around. I was like, I want to spend time with him. And mom was like, come on now, it's barakah, it's like a good thing, it's a blessing. People can come and eat and whatever. And I was like, I get that. But it's just like, oh yeah. And my mom was like, I don't know what you have against this guy, but you need to let it go. I was like, I've let it go. It's not that deep. I'm just saying. But yeah, I don't know if that was necessary to say, but it's just an anecdote that I felt like sharing. Do not judge me. I'm human, okay? So I think there's a difference between being naive and being human. And I think if you're somebody who's experiencing, you are naive, and you feel like people easily manipulate you or gaslight you or whatever, in some situations, like I've had my uncle and aunt tell me, you may be the problem, and you might need to figure out why you're attracting people. Why, like my uncle told me once, why did that guy feel comfortable to tell you that he told his friends he gives you blue balls? Why are you attracting people or setting the standard or the, value yourself and do things? And my uncle and aunt are speaking from a place of experience. They're in their 40s. My aunt is in her late 30s. He's in his 40s. I'm in my early 20s. And, well, not early anymore, but I'm in my 20s. And it's like, this is all part of life. And we experience people and things that are shitty, annoying, and frustrating. And I think you need to learn how to stand up for yourself, how to create systems in place to not feel ways about people, or people treating you like you're naive or acting naive towards you. You can be soft-hearted and still say, I deserved better than what I accepted. That's not shame, that's evolution. I think there's also different elements of regret, and I think releasing people you regret doesn't mean that you failed. It means that you're ready to love yourself more. Inviting grace for the version of you who didn't know how to walk away. And I think that's very beautiful and very humane. If I'm not embarrassed of who I was, I'm proud of who I've become since. I think embarrassment, on the other hand, is something that we create for ourselves. There's moments where I'm embarrassed about things and no one else even batted an eye about it, because it's very personal and specific. It's the same thing with cringiness. People may find something cringe, but if you want to live your life in a fun, authentic way, sometimes you do have to be cringe. And what about it? Invite inward work, not self-blame. Ask yourself questions like, what did I need so badly that I accepted less than I deserved? Where did I confuse loyalty with love? What version of me was trying to feel seen, heard, or chosen? These questions, especially the last one, what version of me was trying to feel seen, heard, or chosen? I always say, I've had this conversation with almost everyone in my life. People, childhood traumas are a huge thing. I'm going to bring a therapist on to talk about this, but childhood traumas, what in you, what version of you wanted to be seen, to be heard, to be chosen, to be picked? It's reminding me of the Meredith Grey scene from Grey's Anatomy saying, pick me, choose me, love me. I'm like, bro. Some affirmations to remind yourself and end this episode on a positive note is, I can regret who I trusted and still love the heart that trusted. I give myself grace for surviving lessons I didn't ask for. I don't carry shame for being real in a world full of performers. My softness was never a mistake. Their inability to honor it was. My beautiful aliens, I hope you love this episode. I rambled quite a bit. My experience may be very different to what you're experiencing, but I think all in all, if you have encounters and experiences with people who are very yucky and disgusting and horrible, don't regret. Learn. You can regret something. I'm not telling you not to regret something, but just learn from the experiences and turn it from bitterness into wisdom. Like how I did in creating this podcast episode. And I think it was very cathartic of me releasing this out there, and it's part of my journey. It's part of life. I think I actually have this person's sweater and I was planning on sending it back, and everybody's like, burn it. But I was like, I don't want bad karma, but I don't want that sweater in my space. And then once I heard that information, I was like, you're not serious. You actually are not serious. And I don't want to reach out and give him the satisfaction, but I'm just like, that disgusting creature. I'll catch you guys tomorrow, my beautiful aliens. Oh, the closing remarks. I wanted to name this episode Toxic Till the End, and I don't feel like it's going to reflect the episode, so I'm thinking of naming it You Should Have Said No, which are both songs, by the way. So go check it out. I think I don't even want to hear this episode back because it's giving me the EBGBs just thinking about that disgusting creature. I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will catch you next week for my Patreon humans, and in a few days for my beautiful aliens. Bye guys.